My guest at this time is Ken Cuccinelli. He served as Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Virginia from 2010 to 2014. He was the 2013 Republican nominee for governor. He's now president of Senate Conservatives Fund, and he's also affiliated with FreedomWorks. We have asked him to join us today to offer his analysis of the ongoing scandal and the bipartisan push for the resignation of Democratic Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. And Ken, thanks very much for your time today.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Well, obviously, as most folks know, this push for the resignation started Friday when a picture from Northam's 1984 medical school yearbook showed a picture on his page with one person in blackface, one person in a Klansman outfit. He apologized for being in that photo on Friday. By Saturday, his story had changed, that he doesn't believe he was in the photo. It somehow mistakenly got on his page, and he apologizes for the hurt that it's caused. No one's buying it. Most people seem to think that he only hurt his cause on Saturday, but he is still refusing to resign. So what is your insight on this as someone who has served at the highest levels of Virginia government?
Well, there's been another development that's not directly related, but it's related to the lieutenant governor,
right,
where allegations by a professor out west have surfaced that he sexually assaulted her back at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. Apparently, this was delivered to the Washington Post some time ago, but they wouldn't run with it. And so now it is out there open and creates a bit of a conundrum, because where there wasn't a partisan issue from the Democrats' perspective with Governor Northam resigning because the lieutenant governor is also a Democrat, now all of a sudden the lieutenant governor is got his own Me Too moment going on. And it certainly is going to give some people some pause about shoving aside one governor for his 35-year-old racist photo. And let's not forget his support for infanticide earlier last week that he expressed on the radio in favor of someone who's now accused of sexual assault by a woman who's a college professor. So if you compare to the Kavanaugh situation, normally someone like an accuser like that has automatic credibility with the left, even if some of us would still like to see evidence. So it's gotten muddier here in Virginia, and what a lot of people don't realize, we're talking on Monday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is what's called crossover in Virginia. We have the shortest legislative session, in the country, and it ends at the end of this month. And tomorrow is the deadline by which all of the bills introduced in the original House, so House bills in the House of Delegates, Senate bills in the Senate, have to be voted out of their original House by midnight. So there's an immense amount of legislative activity going on today and tomorrow. And yesterday, the money committees put out their budgets. And there is a huge battle, partisan battle this time, over whether or not to return the windfall from the federal tax cuts to taxpayers at the state tax level. Of course, Republicans want to return it to citizens. Democrats want to keep every penny and get some more. And now the governor and suddenly the lieutenant governor are both fairly neutered in engaging in that debate substantively. So it's an incredible time for all of this to happen at once. And it's really up to the governor, because impeachment in Virginia is more or less the same as at the federal level. It's only for acts taken in office. And, of course, the racist photo 35 years ago was 35 years ago. It wasn't taken in office. And even his comments about infanticide were just that. They were an expression of his own willingness to watch a baby child die on the table after it had been born alive, which is reprehensible. Nonetheless, it wasn't an official act. It was just an opinion. So there's no availability of impeachment here, and it's really in Ralph Northam's hands whether he resigns or not.
If something were to happen to Fairfax as well, what's the succession in Virginia? Does it go to the Speaker of the House of Delegates? Does it go to the Attorney General? Who would be after him?
The way it would normally happen if the lieutenant governor became the governor, the lieutenant governor's slot is actually not filled. the president pro tem of the Senate, who is Senator Steve Newman of the Lynchburg area, a longtime, well-liked, frankly, conservative senator, assumes the duties of the lieutenant governor. Doesn't become the lieutenant governor, but assumes the duties of the lieutenant governor, which very interestingly could allow him to vote on a bill, which then ended up in a tie, and he gets to break the tie. So he could actually, on some bills, have two votes. But that's what the statutes say. It's what the Constitution of Virginia dictates. So that's kind of where we're headed here. I don't see Justin Fairfax stepping down as lieutenant governor under any circumstances. He's denying the allegations. He appears immediately settled in to fight on that. He will not be removed from his office. So I don't see us going past the two characters in the play at the moment, Ralph Northam as governor and Justin Fairfax as lieutenant governor.
Ken, you were a state senator before you were attorney general. Northam was a state senator before he became lieutenant governor. How well did you know him then? What kind of guy was he dealing with?
It's part of what's so interesting about this. I knew him pretty well. He's an easygoing guy. He was easy to get to know. He's still an easygoing guy, and very mild-mannered. And so the judgment shown even when he was 25. I mean, he was a med school graduate at that point, and Doug Wilder was running for lieutenant governor when he picked those pictures to go in his yearbook. So it's really at odds with his personality and his behavior. I've never observed him undertaking a racist act or statement or seen evidence of so much as a thought in all of the years I've known Ralph, which is more than a decade now. And so this is all the more shocking. And it is interesting, even a lot of the people calling for his resignation are saying the same thing. I've never seen him do anything, blah, blah, blah. But, this is out there, and you can't govern with this out there, so you've got to resign. I think there's something to that, candidly. It's kind of amazing that it went this long being undiscovered. Nonetheless, the thing that was most shocking to me in the last week is the national explosion over this genuinely racist picture with almost no similar reaction 2 days before to the governor's comments supportive of infanticide. The dichotomy has been quite extraordinary. Both address human dignity. One is the dignity of someone who's alive with the racist picture. The other is whether someone gets to live. And, it's obviously there are strong views on abortion that are different from one another. That's not the case, thankfully, for Americans on racism. We're universally against it. And so maybe that explains some of it, but I suspect not. I mean, when you watch some of the left-wing commentators explode when those of us on the right bring it up in panels, that they're trying to cover for it. And America needs to know that the Democrat Party is on the verge of supportive of infanticide. And they are radically extreme on abortion. And that's being lost in last week's news with this governor.
Let me have you do a couple quick follow-ups here as we get short on time. Discuss the media a little more. First of all, why do you think we saw such a big difference in the coverage of the yearbook photo versus what he actually said last week about abortion? And in fact, the Washington Post didn't even report on the back and forth between the House Majority Leader and Delegate Tran, where she explained that an abortion would be possible in the process of delivery under her legislation, which was eventually defeated in subcommittee. And then the fact that the media never found the yearbook while he was campaigning for state office.
Right. Never even looked. There's certainly been questions about opposition research, because remember, Governor Northam had to win a primary to even be the Democrat nominee in 2017. So Tom Perriello's folks didn't find it either. And I kind of wonder if anybody looked. I mean, I'm of the mind we're generally speaking when, for instance, this Kavanaugh stuff came up and you're pulling out high school yearbooks. I'm like, oh, come on, really? I just think you've got to find something pretty outrageous to qualify as worth questioning someone. But I have to say, blackface and a Ku Klux Klan hood fit that qualification to me. To me, that is worth questioning somebody about. So it may just be that people didn't think you go back and look at yearbooks. I think we're past that now, right? I don't think there's ever going to be a campaign going forward, a major one, where they don't try to hunt this stuff down and just see what's there. And that's a little shocking. I think a lot of people, when they think back of what's in their yearbooks, might worry about such a thing. But the concern is that racist photo is reflective of something that Ralph believed at some point, or thought was funny, or what he was lighthearted about at a time when we were way past accepting that as a subject of joking in Virginia, especially given our severe racist history under, I have to say, Democrat government when we were a one-party state. But nonetheless, that's our history.
Ken, last question. A lot of the folks who are calling for Northam's resignation say it has to happen so the Commonwealth can heal. How damaged is Virginia by the past week, and what will it take to heal?
I think this is a reminder that while we are growing out of the racist past Virginia had, that those remnants are still around, and they still matter in people's lives. Ask Governor Northam; it sure matters in his life all of a sudden. And we've got work to do still. And the fact is, in a state with Virginia's history, we always have to be sensitive to these issues. Those of us of every race have to be sensitive to these issues. So I don't see it going away. I do think that the rather universal nature of the call for his resignation is a form of unification, strangely enough. But like I said, with the lieutenant governor now under the cloud of sexual assault allegations, I think that's going to complicate matters rather dramatically.
A lot more to watch, and who knows what will happen by the time we get this interview all set to run. So, Ken, always good to have you with us. Thanks for your expert insights on this, and we'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure.
Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, former state senator, as I also mentioned in the course of the interview. He's now president of the Senate Conservatives Fund, and he is also affiliated with FreedomWorks. I'm Greg Columbus reporting for Radio America.